All right, let's talk about Carcassonne. You wanted to know more about this French city and, well, we're happy to oblige.
Yeah, Carcassonne. This is one of those places where history just oozes out of every nook and cranny.
I like that. Oozes. So, where is Carcassonne? What's the big deal about it?
Picture southern France. You've got the Pyrenees Mountains, and you're in this sun-drenched plain, the Odd Plain. That's where you'll find Carcassonne. It's always been this crossroads, smack dab in the middle of trade routes between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean.
A real strategic spot, then.
Oh, absolutely. A prize to be fought over, conquered, rebuilt, the whole 9 yards. If you wanted to control the region, well, Carcassonne was the key.
So, who were some of the first folks to recognize its importance?
You've got to start with the Romans, right? Around 100 BC, they saw that hilltop, saw the defensive possibilities, and boom, fortifications. They didn't just sit there, though. They made Carcassonne a real part of their empire. You can still see that Roman influence in the city walls today.
That's pretty amazing. The echoes of ancient Rome still present.
But nothing lasts forever. The Roman grip loosened, and in swept the Visigoths, those nomadic warriors. 5th century AD, they take Carcassonne, make it part of their kingdom, and of course add their own layers of fortifications.
Romans, Visigoths. Sounds like a pretty layered history already.
Oh, it's a layer cake, all right. And the Visigoths weren't just about fighting. They knew how to build, how to run things. Carcassonne became a real power center under their rule. Commerce, some culture, they definitely left their mark.
This is already fascinating. It's one thing to know the names and dates, but this gives you a real feel for how each group shaped the city.
And that keeps going as we head into the Middle Ages. After the Visigoths, the Franks took charge. King Pepin the Short, he pushed back against some Muslim forces that had briefly controlled the area, but it was the Trencavels, those counts who ruled Carcassonne, that really kicked things up a notch.
The Trencavels, huh? What were they like?
Ambitious bunch, shrewd, and they really threw themselves into making Carcassonne even grander. They built the Chateau Comtal, a castle inside the city, and expanded the Basilica of Saints Nazarius and Celsus. It's a beautiful church, still standing today.
So Carcassonne was thriving, a real turnaround from its days as a Roman fort.
Absolutely. But hold on to your hats because things are about to get a whole lot darker. We're talking Albigensian Crusades.
Chills, honestly. A religious war, if I remember correctly.
That's putting it mildly. The Catholic Church was determined to wipe out the Cathars. They had beliefs that didn't sit well with the church, and guess what? Carcassonne was a Cathar hotbed.
So it became a target.
Oh, more than a target. 1209, Crusader army shows up, led by this abbot Arnaud Amalric. They laid siege to Carcassonne. The city's viscount, Raymond Raja de Trencabel, tried to make peace, save his people, but they took him prisoner. He died under some pretty suspicious circumstances, a real tragedy and a turning point for Carcassonne.
Dark days indeed. What happened to the people of Carcassonne after the siege?
Oh, it's brutal. They were kicked out of their own city, just told to leave with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Hard to even imagine that kind of loss.
So the Cathars are out, the Crusaders are in. What becomes of Carcassonne?
The city was given to Simon de Montfort, a big-time Crusader leader. He was all about security. He beefed up those fortifications, made Carcassonne even more intimidating. It became a symbol of the Crusader victory, but also a chilling reminder of what had happened there. And from that point on, it was a border fortress. France on one side, the Crown of Aragon on the other. Still important, but forever scarred by the Crusades.
Those walls must have seen it all. A real testament to the struggle for power in that region.
They've seen their share, that's for sure. And the story of those walls, it doesn't end there. Even after the Cathar conflict, new threats emerged.
Like what?
The 100 Years' War. The English, led by Edward the Black Prince, they had their eyes on Carcassonne. 1355, they attacked. They managed to wreck the lower town, but the cité, the fortified heart of Carcassonne, that held strong, unyielding.
Impregnable. Like something out of a legend.
Maybe a bit of both. But the Cité de Carcassonne isn't just about brute strength. There's beauty there.
Yeah, the pictures are incredible. Those towers, those ramparts. What makes the architecture so special?
It's this amazing mix of Roman and medieval styles, layers upon layers of history, each one adding something unique. You see the Roman legacy in the foundations, the Visigoth influence in some of the structure, and then the medieval stuff on top of that.
It's like this living timeline of architecture all in one spot.
Exactly. And speaking of timelines, I bet you've heard the story of how Carcassonne got its name, the legend of Lady Carcass.
Oh yeah, the clever lady who tricked the enemy during a siege. Ring a bell, Carcassonne. Very clever.
A charming tale, isn't it? But historians have kind of debunked it. The name Carcassonne probably comes from the old Celtic name Carsac, probably referred to the hill the city is built on.
Bummer. Sometimes reality's a bit less romantic. But even without Lady Carcassonne has plenty of stories to tell.
Absolutely. And we've only just begun. We've talked about the fortified city, the Cité, but there's another side to Carcassonne, the lower town, the Vilbès.
The Ville base, huh? What's the story there?
Well, it's all tied to that expulsion of the city's people after the Albigensian Crusade. The folks who were forced out of the Cité, they settled across the Aude River, they built new lives, and a new town started to bloom.
Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, a real testament to human resilience.
Love that image. And the Ville base became the economic engine of Carcassonne. It had its own walls once, though most of them are gone now. It's this vibrant counterpoint to the medieval solemnity of the Cité, where history and everyday life meet.
So visiting Carcassonne is like experiencing two cities in one. The weight of history in the Cité, the energy of the Ville base.
Precisely. It's a time travel adventure. You walk in the footsteps of Romans, Visigoths, Crusaders, merchants, everyday people, all those who called Carcassonne home.
And speaking of those footsteps, what are the must-see spots? You mentioned the Basilica and the Chateau Comtal. What else should I have on my list?
Oh, there's so much. The Basilica is a must, absolutely. That mix of Romanesque and Gothic architecture, those stained glass windows, the carvings. And from the Chateau Comtal, you get these panoramic views of the city, the whole countryside. But then there's the cathedral down on the Ville base, another gorgeous example of Gothic architecture.
Wow, I'm already feeling overwhelmed. It sounds like a feast for the eyes.
Don't forget the Inquisition Tower. A bit somber, but a real reminder of the past. And take a walk across the Pont Vieux, the old bridge. Picture-perfect views of the Cité from there.
I'm taking notes. One day is not going to be enough.
Probably not. There's just so much to take in. But even a short visit, it'll stay with you. It's that kind of place.
Before we move on, what about that lake near the Ville base?
Ah, Lac de la Caballère. That's a beautiful spot. Swimming, boating, or just chill out and soak in the scenery. A perfect escape from the city, a little dose of nature.
So Carcassonne really does have it all. History, architecture, natural beauty, the perfect trifecta. It's been quite a ride.
I've really enjoyed exploring Carcassonne with you. Hopefully it's inspired our listeners to dig a little deeper into this amazing city and its people.
We've just scratched the surface, but we've gotten a glimpse into what makes Carcassonne tick.
And maybe one day we'll get to see it for ourselves, walk those streets, feel that history firsthand.
That would be incredible. Until then, we'll keep exploring, keep learning, keep sharing those stories.
Thanks for joining us on this journey to Carcassonne. May your own explorations be filled with wonder and discovery.